Hello and welcome again to the show that doesn't have a name yet because I'm just too damn lazy to come up with a name. And I am Pannobhasa, formerly known as Pannobhasa Bhikkhu or Pannobhasa Mahatera, and now also known as John David Reynolds, or sometimes even just Dave. And I am reading suttas from the Atthakavagga, which is my favorite collection of texts. I consider it to be probably the most important Buddhist document in existence because it's the largest chunk of really primitive, archaic Buddhism that still exists. And this sutta that I'm going to be reading is the Magandiya Sutta. And there are two Magandiya Suttas, one in the Sutta-Nipata, which is this one, and one in the Majjhima Nikaya, which is a completely different sutta. Just turns out that Magandiya was maybe not a very uncommon name, sort of like George or something. And it starts off with a man named Magandiya asking the Buddha a question. And it's the story itself is more famous than this sutta is, than this discourse is, because it's a famous example of the Buddha being really rude to somebody, and just the shock value of his rudeness caused them to become Sotapannas, become like Aryas or Buddhist saints. And so I might as well just tell the introductory story where the Buddha was sitting out in a park in some town, and he looked so majestic and noble. You know, he was of the royal, like the Kshatriya caste, so he looked like a prince or something. And so he's sitting there, and there's this rich merchant who's got this beautiful daughter, this princess of a daughter, and he finally sees a guy who's good enough for his daughter. He sees the Buddha sitting out there just looking so majestic and princely. He figures, this man is good enough for my daughter. So he brings the daughter out to the Buddha, and the Buddha says this really insulting thing, which is in the first verse here. And I think to some degree there's like there could be just the cooking up of a legend as a result of this very early statement, because he says at the very first line of the sutta is, having seen craving, dissatisfaction, and passion, there did not occur even an inclination to sexuality. And I mean, it could just be that he was just seeing, the states of craving, dissatisfaction, and passion. But according to the legend, those are the names of the three daughters of Mara, who is like the Buddhist devil. And so the three daughters of Mara are Tahna, Arati, and Raga, which are generally translated as craving, dissatisfaction, and passion or lust. So I will read the discourse now, and it's really a mind blower. It is a strange one. So be prepared, and let's go. So the Buddha says, having seen craving, dissatisfaction, and passion, there did not occur even an inclination to sexuality. Just what is this, full of urine and dung? I would not want to touch it even with my foot. Then the father says, Magandiya says, if you do not want such a treasure as this, a woman desired by many lords of men, what belief, what morality and observances, what way of life, and what kind of rebirth into existence do you declare? There is nothing of which I say, I declare this, Magandiya, said the Blessed One, seized, having discriminated from among the philosophies, but looking among the views, not taking hold of anything, examining, I saw inner peace. Whatever discriminations had been conceived, said Magandiya, truly, O sage, you speak of them without taking hold. This inner peace, whatever it means, how is it made known by the wise? Not by what is viewed, not by what is heard, not by inner knowledge, Magandiya, said the Blessed One, nor by morality and observances is purity said to be. By absence of what is viewed, by absence of what is heard, by non-knowledge, by amorality, by non-observance, also not by that. So having let go of these, not taking hold of anything, a peaceful one, not being dependent, would not have longings for existence. If you say that not by what is viewed, not by what is heard, not by inner knowledge, said Magandiya, nor by morality and observances is purity said to be. By absence of what is viewed, by absence of what is heard, by non-knowledge, by amorality, by non-observance, also not by that, then I imagine that to be a confused philosophy indeed. Some do rely on purity by view. And having depended upon view, inquiring, Magandiya, said the Blessed One, you have become confounded by what you have seized upon, and so you have not seen the slightest sense in this. Therefore you hold it to be confused. He who imagines the existence of equal, superior, or inferior would contend with regard to that. To one not vacillating among these three distinctions, there occurs no equal or superior. What would that holy man argue, saying it is true? Or with regard to what would he contend, saying it is false? For whom there is neither equal or unequal, with whom would he engage in argument? A sage having abandoned his home, going without fixed abode, not working up intimacies in a village, rid of objects of desire, setting nothing before him, would not take up a position and make debate with the people. For whatever things he has detached himself as he would roam through the world, from whatever things he has detached himself as he would roam through the world, not taking hold of them, the great one would not put forth an argument. Just as a white lotus whose stalk arises from the water is not mired by water and mud, even so a sage, a speaker of peace, one without greed, is not mired by sensuality and the world. One who has realized does not come to conceit through what is viewed or felt, for he is not made up of that. He is not to be led on by what is done or heard either. He is not brought to a conclusion among entrenchments. There are no ties for one dispassioned toward perception. There are no confusions for one released by understanding. But those who have grabbed hold of perception and view roam through the world causing trouble. And that's the end of the discourse. And as I say, this is one of the discourses of the Atthakavagga, which is the fourth chapter of the Sutta-Nipata. And it used to be an independent work. And it is very ancient and goes way, way back to very possibly the Buddhist time. And although a lot of people would say that all of the texts go back to the Buddhist time, this would go back to like very, very early in with regard to Buddhist literature. And it's well worth considering. The entire book is worth considering. And you can find my translation on the nipapancha.org website in an ebook version. And there are other versions too. Ajahn Tanisro has translated it. I think Bhikkhu Bodhi has translated it. There's some really bad translations out there too. Just to make sure that people would realize that what I was doing wasn't a really bad translation. I've included Pali on one side, the original Pali on one side, and English on the other. And it's so old that even the Pali is archaic, that it's not ordinary Pali. They're like these archaisms in the Pali, which I think used to be called Magadisms. But as I say, it's really an interesting book. And it's not only the sutta, but the entire collection of suttas is well worth reading to anybody who really wants to know what really early Buddhism was like. And be happy.